Hello and welcome to Weekends with Alex. Well, in New Jersey, not funny at all as defense lawyers are planning to appeal the guilty verdicts in the spy cam suicide trial. Yesterday, a jury found Dharun Ravi guilty of the most serious charges, which include bias, intimidation, and invasion of privacy. The 20-year-old used a webcam to snoop on his Rutgers roommate, Tyler Clementi, who later killed himself. The victim's father had a message for all students.
You're going to meet a lot of people in your lifetime. Some of these people you may not like, but just because you don't like them does not mean you have to work against them. You can make the world a better place. The change you want to see in the world begins with you.
Ravi could spend up to 10 years in jail, and he faces deportation to his native India. Joining me here in studio, Hayley Gorenberg, Deputy Legal Director for Lambda Legal. Hayley, thanks for being here.
Sure.
What kind of message does this verdict send?
I think the message sends to all of us that we need to do a lot more to take seriously the threat of anti-gay bias, particularly for our young people.
Okay. Does this set any sort of precedent for future hate crime cases? Do you think they'll be looking at this as something to compare to?
I think a lot of people are looking right now at hate crime prosecutions and what this all means. To me, the visibility of the case is particularly important because it means that we're all going to understand better that we need to take care of our youth and to heighten the awareness of people to the damage that can be done without better education about prejudice and the reach of these kinds of crimes.
But this is not a classic hate crime case, right? I mean, there's all sorts of almost nebulous area that you have to factor in here. I mean, using social media to do things and get messaging out. I mean, let's face it, when you and I were in school, we didn't have to deal with this kind of thing. So are we looking at this from actually, like, we're pivoting in society as well? Like, are we now trying to regulate morality, a sense of morality?
I really think that the questions that are being leveled about hate crimes and whether this was proper, whether we're going into new terrain, are perhaps in danger of blinding us to the real question we need to be asking, which is why we are not reacting more and not better understanding the inherent bias that's in the society right now against LGBT people. That's the real question that we need to be addressing, and the questions that are leveled about new technology and how was the internet used. Well, I don't think that the use of the internet here and the role that it played in serving as proof in the Ravi trial takes us into new terrain. Really what's happening here is that we have recorded statements that were used here. Yes, they were made on the internet. They could have been witnessed by other people live. They could have been written. I mean, recorded statements are used to prosecute crimes and have been for many years. And to instead focus now on, well, what's going on with the internet, or how are these statements being...
You think it's getting a bit off topic?
I think it's getting off topic. What I would analogize it to is, if you have trouble with how the internet was used here to record statements and implicate somebody in a crime, then, well, I wouldn't have any more trouble or concern about that than I would about, a stabbing conviction implicating my use of cutlery or a knife in a lawful purpose.
What's been interesting, we've put out on Twitter today a question to our viewers as to what kind of time should Dharun Ravi serve, and we understand that he will be sentenced. It won't happen, I believe, not until May, but he could face 10 years behind bars. What do you think is a fair sentence?
The sentence is out of my hands, and I was not in that courtroom to hear every piece of evidence or to deliberate as a juror. None of us here were. But the fact that there's a conviction and that there is likely to be a substantial sentence has us all, I think, re-examining, as we should, the pervasive damage that is done to young people when they are targeted on the basis of their identity, for who they are, particularly for their sexual orientation or gender identity. And it's just so pervasive in this country and society that now we find ourselves, some people anyway, shocked at the result when the crime and the actions are actually taken to task, and a jury does that hard work of grappling with and coming to a conclusion that actually follows the law.
And a conviction in this case. Hayley Gorenberg with Lambda, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Next in the Big Three, we have the release of President Obama.